All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of PLACE Navigators. This is episode 12, and my co-host Chris Elder, part of the Platz group powered by PLACE, is here with me today to talk about 3 myths and 1 hack when it comes to real estate teams versus the individual real estate agent. But before we get into that, Chris, tell us more about what we talked about in episode 11.
Yeah, so episode 11, we were talking about new homes and we talked about 3 myths and a hack. And that was
What?
a
There's a theme?
really,
There's a
yeah,
theme?
there's a theme. And the
Awesome.
3 myths and a hack on buying new construction, we covered some really awesome information, not too long to digest. I highly recommend all of our listeners to go back and listen to this episode, man. But today's episode is going to be pretty awesome. It's kind of near and dear, and I feel a little biased because we are a team.
We are.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to talk about this.
Yeah. You know, Chris, what I think is super cool, because I actually just spoke with an agent about this literally yesterday, was in my career, and I know you served our nation for 20 years, and meanwhile you were a very successful real estate investor who's become now a real estate professional. But in my 20 years of being in the real estate industry, I had 11 years as an individual agent, and I've now had 10 years as somebody participating on a team. So I'm almost to 50-50. And so I was asked during this conversation with this person who's trying to decide if they want to be a solo agent or if they want to be a team agent. This was their question. They said, what was the hardest part about being a solo agent? And so I think we're going to answer that with our myths and our hack, and then maybe like I'll leave this as a little bit of a cliffhanger, and we'll put at the end very specifically how I answered that question. But before we get too far into storytelling, Chris, like, what is the number one myth that we run into about real estate teams, both from the perspective of agents that are considering joining a team and also clients who are considering hiring a real estate team?
Yeah, I'm going to say myth number 1 is that real estate teams lack that personal attention.
Oh.
You know, in reality, though, contrary to popular belief that real estate teams can't offer that personal touch, I would argue that they can, because you actually have an agent that is freed up and also has that support system. So that way they can focus more of their energy into that relationship with that said client. So really the client's going to benefit from that perspective. Now, the agent, just because they're part of a team, doesn't mean that they don't know the ins and outs. I know any team member in our organization is definitely going to do their best and actually will learn every aspect of the real estate process to the point where they know how to do it, but they can lean back on that teammate that covers it, like transactions. We have a transaction coordinator that just does an amazing job for us. Literally can drop a packet on her and she will just take care of every aspect of it, and does them so effectively and efficiently that oftentimes she can actually help us in that process, giving us some pointers and tips on how it could be done a little bit better. And what that frees us up to is kind of really tailoring that buying or selling process, because we have that support system behind us.
Yeah. What I hear you saying, and I know this is the heart and soul of us, and I know that it goes wrong sometimes, right? Because the industry is big. Like, there's literally more realtors than there are houses for sale in this low inventory market. But what I hear you saying is that a team servicing their client properly is a collaboration, not a handoff. And that collaboration is having multiple sets of brains and eyes and things on each part of that file. And it's also having people that, while they do have a wide spans of knowledge. They're really focusing on the part that they're focusing on. Like you talked about our transaction manager, or also known as our compliance person. And so they're making sure like there's no mistakes to the contract. I got that call a week ago where the guy said, hey, I only signed part of this agreement and now I kind of want out of it. And what can I do? And the short answer on that is I don't give legal advice. But, that's a situation where, we don't have a high chance in our world of somebody feeling like maybe that isn't an enforceable contract because there's missing signatures. So keep us going, Chris. What do you think biggest myth number 2 is about the solo agent versus the team-based agent?
A lot of people may think that solo agents provide better communication. And but the reality is that solo agents may offer direct communication channels, but real estate teams prioritize effectively and they communicate through coordinated efforts. So essentially, yeah, you're going to have that direct one-on-one agent, but if that agent has more than 2-3 clients and they're running around spinning all the plates, they're spinning all the plates on multiple different processes, on multiple different deals. It's over 180 things that happens in every single real estate transaction. And some may need more depending on what is actually being done. And that right there should tell you that an agent that has that team backing is going to be able to be more reachable to you. They're going to have designated points of contact with streamlined communication streams. I know we got some pretty powerful communication tools that we utilize. I know we have effective clients, like effective timeliness with our communication. We have checks and balances because let's say I am out of the picture because I have a family emergency. Well, Joe can literally look at my notes and pick up where I left off. That way, if something happens, and this is what I tell all of my clients, I'm like, hey, I'm part of a team. And so if anything ever were to happen to me, you would have someone from my team face to face to you, telling you or giving you the information that you need. So that's one awesome thing that teams provide over the solo aspect.
Yep, for sure. It doesn't even have to be catastrophic, right? It could be that you're in a meeting and there's something that's urgent on a file, and somebody else can be that point of contact to be available and make something happen. And I know we heavily rely on our administrative team to back us up when we're doing things like we're doing right now. Like if we're recording this podcast, you're not going to get us on the phone, but you are going to get somebody that's on our team that can help you. So Chris, what's myth number 3? What's the next biggest objection you hear from clients or people that are considering making a change to their real estate business plan?
Ultimately, everybody's about that impact to their wallet, right? So they assume that, right? Well, what is this going to cost me? Well, here's the thing: teams and solo agents cost the same amount. And remember, all prices are negotiable. We can talk about this a little bit more. And I think we've talked about this in past episodes too, Joe, about the cost of hiring a real estate agent. Some buyers and sellers assume that real estate teams come with a higher cost due to the multiple levels of people and professionals that are involved in it. But this isn't the case. In many instances, real estate teams operate with efficient systems and resources, allowing us to provide services kind of on the next level, if you think about it, with very competitive rates. Clients can benefit from the collective experience. So you're not just dealing with Chris's 17 years as an investor and 1 year as a realtor. No, you're actually dealing with the 50, almost 60 years worth of experience of real estate from the entire team. And that right there is like why
Yeah.
would I not pick someone that's got
It's,
almost 60 years worth of real estate experience, that's seen and done a lot more? Why would I not do that? In fact, Joe, we should be charging more because of that. But I
yeah.
digress.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Chris, like it's such an interesting topic because yes, they're hiring a I guess I better say a small navy and not an army, but they're hiring a small navy to come in and help them through that transaction, right? And we've got specialists and we've got support members, and then they're also, one of the other things that we find is that we can kind of offer incentives. We can use the leverage that we've created, the resources that we have to actually do more for the client than might be possible for that independent. This is the tension of capitalism, unfortunately. The Main Street, mom and pop shop is just not buying their product at the same, quantity discount that Walmart's buying it. And unfortunately or fortunately, right? It depends on which side of the coin you want to be on. Like we're the same. We're able to negotiate with the area's very best house cleaners, the area's very best photographers, and we're able to create an experience for people where honestly, what we usually find is that we are actually able to provide more for that competitive rate than the individual can. And that's not to put an individual down. It's just that because like I said, I'm kind of 50-50. I've been both guys. I've resented real estate teams because I was trying to compete against them, and then I've been the real estate team that understands that there's a tremendous amount of the hack in this model. So Chris, what is the hack?
Definitely, this is a pretty powerful hack right here. So this one's for free, guys. All right, this hack, the power of collaboration and leverage that a team has versus a solo agent is the reason why Joe, for 10 years, envied teams, because they have so much more leverage than a solo agent. Just think of it like a normal pulley system. If you're further out on the lever, with
Right.
that experience, you're going to be able to lift a lot heavier things. It's the same. It's the same concept here. Choosing between a real estate team and a solo agent doesn't have to be a binary decision either. The hack lies in leveraging that power of collaboration and seek out real estate teams that prioritize collaboration with their own teams and external partners. I would have to argue that team agents talk with other agents probably a lot more negotiative. Like I feel like we have a lot more relationship skills because I'm not just serving a client, but I'm also serving my team, which means that I'm a team player.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love a good team player?
Yeah. One of the things I noticed in that progression or that journey in my career, Chris, was when I got into the team environment and I started helping more people because I had more help, I got more at bats. I started writing more offers. So when the offers went into multiple offer situations, I learned more faster what to do. And I started listing more homes. So I knew how to help sellers nail their price and negotiate the highest and best terms because I was doing it more. And it just gave me the opportunity to actually be a more well-rounded real estate professional because I had more times that I was in the game. There's a capacity level that happens when you're the president and the janitor. So as we wrap this up, Chris, I want to share that answer. I told this person that just brand new license, they're trying to figure out, do they want to go independent? Do they want to do a team? And what I did is I took out a piece of paper and I drew a small circle and I wrote, "This is your business today." and I wrote a big circle. And on the outside of the big circle, I wrote, "This is your life." And I drew a line between the big circle and the small circle. And I said, "This is your space between. This is when you're not working. This is when you're with your family. This is when you're with your dog. This is when you're doing your self-care. This is when you're grocery shopping. This is when you're going to the gym." And I said, what happened to me is that I wanted to grow my business. I didn't want a small business, Chris. And so as I grew that business, that little circle got a little bigger, and it got a little bigger, and it got a little bigger, and it got a little bigger. But then what happened was that space between, it started to get smaller, because there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so much time. And my life also changed. I started selling real estate as a single dude, like right out of college. Well, I was technically in college when I started, but like I graduated and my responsibility level post college went way down, and I didn't have a wife, and I didn't have kids, and I didn't have a mortgage, and I had cheap rent, and so I mean, like I did a lot of things. Like I played a lot of video games, right? But what happened was, when the business grew and my capacity was fixed, right, that space between, and the more obligations and the more responsibility and the things I chose became a real tension. And it honestly became an uncomfortable tension. And it was a tension that almost caused me to leave the industry. So when you as the consumer, or you as the professional, are contemplating using a real estate team or a solo agent, I encourage you to think about that space between. What is the capacity? What is the number of times at bat? And what kept me from a team, Chris, was exactly the same thing the consumer thinks about. I thought, well, hey, myth one we said was the lack of personalized attention. I thought, well, everybody just they absolutely want to talk to me. I mean, my gosh, Chris, you talk to me. I mean, everybody would want to talk to me, right? No, I'm just kidding, right? And I thought, well, hey, like our communication would break down. Like I don't know, Chris, like if I delegate this to you and you drop the ball and you upset the client, like I wanted to make it about you, and I didn't want to make it about how we were going to communicate better. And I also thought about myth three, and I thought, oh my gosh, like what is this going to cost me as a real estate provider, right? And so it's so interesting that the consumer's concern is the exact same as the professional's concern, but the answer is that hack, man. It's the power of collaboration and leverage. And so as we kind of debunk those, what you want to do is you want to make an informed decision about what is right for you. What is the space? Like I've met people that they purposely keep their real estate business small because they're protecting their space between. And I don't think that's wrong, but I do think that Chris and I are in the market and have a better pulse on the market than they may. I do think that's possible. And I do think that if it's your most expensive asset, or if it's your career, that might make a difference. So remember, when you choose to prioritize, finding somebody who prioritizes you and delivers on what their promises are. Chris, sign us out, bro.
Hey, whether you guys choose a solo agent or a team, what's really important is, what are your priorities? It's what actually works for you. So if you know that solo agent that really works for you, work with them. But if you want somebody with some serious leverage, you should come check out some of our teams that we have with PLACE. Thank you for tuning in and listening to some of our real estate advice. This is PLACE Navigators. You guys take care.